What is up? It's your boy Johnny Shreve, IFBB Pro, Mr. Tell Like It Is. Guys, I'm from Windsor, Ontario, right on the Detroit border, surrounded by some of the most amazing genetically gifted athletes you can imagine. Some that went on to playing NHL, MLB, NBA, NFL, Major League Soccer, Premier League. I've competed against them, I've trained with them, and I learned firsthand what the body can achieve with elite genetics. Now, this experience gave me a very unique perspective. I've seen firsthand what hard work and genetics can do without enhancements. It's literally giving me a sharp eye and spotting the difference between natural and someone who's had a little help. Now, I want to raise a question. When this comes down to it, it's all going to be speculation, but who would you want to speculate if someone's natural or not? A genetically gifted person who has been surrounded by genetically gifted athletes their entire life. They've seen firsthand what can actually be achieved with great genetics and hard work, or someone who's genetically gifted who never grew up around genetically gifted athletes. Who would have a better perspective? So today, guys, I'm sharing with you my insights to help you understand how to spot the difference between somebody who is natural or that of someone who is enhanced. Let's get into it. Now, number one, unnaturally or rapid muscle growth. How do we spot that? Now, let's just put it this way. Let's just take two people, okay? Let's take a genetically gifted athlete and just take a normal person. The normal person as a newbie will gain in the first year around 20-ish pounds. And that's assuming that they're doing all the things that's necessary to build muscle. Eating enough protein, enough calories, drinking enough water, and sleeping, all those things. A genetically gifted athlete, someone who's a hyper responder, will gain anything between 25 to 35 pounds in their first year of training, newbie gains. That person after can probably maybe gain, after those years, can probably gain around 5 to 10 pounds a year, and then it slowly decreases and decreases and decreases as you go. So if you see somebody who's newbie gains, like they're brand new to training, and they put on 20 pounds in a couple months, it's a very obvious sign and a very good speculation that they're probably using steroids. Steroids literally can do that. You're like steroids can put on 20 pounds of muscle within a couple months. Number two, extreme leanness with a lot of muscle. Let's just make these clear, right? A lot of muscle is the caveat. Now, not to say that someone who is 150 pounds isn't using steroids, but I'm saying like when it comes to speculating, and you have to is it really, it's a speculation. So I would suggest just keeping it to yourself, right? If you see somebody that's lean and they're, not that big and you gotta think, are they on? Don't speculate. But when it comes to someone who is like lean, like I'll give you an example, guys. I'm right now 210-ish pounds. This is my conditioning right now. All right, I'll give you guys, here am I. This is me, this is me, that's it. That's all I got. Now, if I show up one day and I am 7% body fat, I'm talking half the body fat percentage I am right now and bigger than I am right now, you can guarantee that Johnny hopped back on the sauce. Very simple. Why? Well, number one, when it comes to having a lot of muscle, your body, the more muscle you have, the more energy your body needs to fuel that muscle. People who have more muscle, like myself, will burn more fat at a rested state than a regular person. And again, there are people that are lean, like I would say someone like, I don't call it Greg, but Greg Doucette is extremely lean. He's always been lean. I don't know a time where he hasn't been lean. And I've only known him when he was using and when he's on TRT. Now, there's a difference between someone like Greg being absolutely peeled and his size and someone that's abusing steroids and peeled and bigger. Greg's a $180 something and peeled and does a ton of cardio. He races bikes, right? There's a difference. Unusual vascularity. Now, this one is like one we have to be very, very cautious about because people will be like, oh, I know somebody's lean. He's got veins all in his forearms. He's on steroids. No, all right? Let me give you guys an idea, okay? So, I'm gonna get some veins out of here. Veins from here to here are very normal, right? They could be the result in just genetics. It could be a result in just, in being leaner. It can be a result in, your blood pressure is up, your heart's beating fast, whatever it is. Where it's not normal to have veins is on your shoulders. on your traps, on your stomach, like on your lower abs, and on your quads. Why? Because those are very energetic, like highly energetic areas on your body that would result in vascularity. If you're natural, you don't get veins on your delts. Now, there are those odd people who are extremely lean genetically and have veins on their shoulders, but not to the extent of, again, let's put it all together. Veins on their shoulders, big ass muscles, and peeled. You can almost guarantee that person is on steroids. I wanna make things very clear. All of these things are speculations. My speculation is coming from a base of, I've been around genetically gifted athletes. So I know that when I see somebody that like a young kid who is just peeled, or not peeled, but like jacked. I see an athletically gifted athlete, there's things that I would see that I'd be like, yeah, that's achievable for sure. I grew up around guys like Zion Williams. You know, I didn't go to school with him, but I've been around athletes like him. My football team was full of athletes, including myself. When I grew up, I wasn't thinking about genetics and whatnot and like gifted athletes and this and that. I just thought of myself as just like the other guy, right? Because, you know, I was an all-star football player. I was an all-star track athlete. I wasn't the fastest. I was right in the pocket with those guys because that's just my confirmation bias. But there was obviously other times where I was like, that is actually steroids. I remember there's a team, I said it before, back home that came back one year, and I remember some of the guys who used to be small came back massive. I'm talking 40 pounds plus. So I've seen it. I know what you can do, and even at the collegiate level, I know what you can do naturally. Disproportionate muscle development. What does that mean? It means like there's places like, you know, someone goes to the gym, they work out, they're trying to train everything. Maybe some people are skipping legs, whatever. But all of a sudden, after just maybe a month, that person's got massive traps, massive shoulders, like cap delts, and a big ass chest. Now, obviously there's people who can, who genetically predispose or have genetic, muscle groups in their body that grow faster than others. But if you're going to the gym and you come out and you're training chest and stuff and you're just yoked to the tits, chest and delts. Why? Those are highly androgenic areas of the body. These areas have very high density of androgen receptors, meaning like when you're using anabolics, it responds really quick there. Again, it comes to time. If you see somebody that puts on, their traps and their shoulders and their chest has grown and you've noticed it grow over the year, that's different than seeing it happen in a couple months. Because I tell you right now, when it comes to steroids, the changes happen like that. If you see muscle that's happening within a couple months, and you'll see it, you can guarantee, I don't say guarantee, but you can say, the speculation can be extremely high. You can be very damn close that person's taking steroids. Skin and hair changes. Even in high school. Now I'm not talking like, grade 9, I'm talking like coming to the end of their high school career and going into college. Some people just have that genetic predisposition of having male pattern baldness, which sucks. We couple that with, oh, the guy got yoked as well, and he's losing his hair, and he always got a bunch of pimples. Now, I'm not just talking about high school. Kids are talking about like, your newbie can be high school, your newbie can be in their 20s, your newbie can be in their 30s. We're talking about these changes that are happening rapidly, and they're happening with muscle. So someone's starting to lose their hair and they don't have some of the things that I've already listed, don't be like, oh, he's on steroids. Now, again, there are some people out there who are using steroids who you don't see any of the things that I've said, and they're losing hair and they have bad skin. Most people aren't speculating steroid use on someone who looks like they haven't used steroids. We're speculating steroid use on influencers, on other YouTubers, coaches, influencers, whatever. So if you're seeing your favorite YouTuber or somebody out there goes from having some very, very squeaky clean skin and they're not 15 years old, going through puberty, and all of a sudden they're getting a bunch of pimples, like if you get a couple pimples on your forehead, like today, like right now, guys, I got a pimple here, man. And it'll be really sweet if I actually sponsor this company, because that'll be the best time to put in a call to action or whatever. But I got a pimple. I got one right here, but like there's one. You're like, Johnny's on steroids, he's got a pimple. It's like, nah, people can get pimple from having, from not showering. I didn't get a pimple from not showering, but like you can have some oily skin naturally. You can be wearing hats or bands like I do and it just get irritated or something. If you got a squeak clean person that all of a sudden is getting pimples in places where they've never seen them before, and they're bigger, and they're vascular, and all the things I just said, yeah, you could probably speculate and be like, yeah, probably using. Women is very easy to speculate if they're on steroids. Very, very easy. I'll give you some really easy ones. And It's really easy. Look at glutes. I'm not saying go stare at women's glutes at all. I'm not saying that at all. But you can really notice it when you're watching, like, go watch it Instagram. Go flick on Instagram and scroll up and you'll probably see in your feed if you're a bodybuilder, if you're in the fitness industry or whatever it is. I can guarantee your Explore page is full of influencers. And if you're a male, there's probably a bunch of women in there too. Go check them out. You can definitely see the difference. Why? Because women have shape. Women have a natural shape. Men have a natural shape. Men are shaped like apples, women are shaped like pears, meaning they get their fat, we get our fat right in our stomach. Women, they get their fat in their hips and their thighs. So they have a natural shape, and when it comes to like childbearing, evolution, that's how their hips are shaped. When they're getting in shape, when they've lost weight and they've lost fat, they're still gonna keep the shape of their body. They're still gonna keep it. Genetically, they're gonna still keep that shape. If they're on, you'll start seeing that their glutes are starting to look more like a man's glutes, right? So some really easy ways to tell. And especially when it comes to women gaining muscle, women can't gain muscle as fast as men can. Very obvious, because they don't produce enough testosterone like we do. So if you see a woman that's putting on a ton of muscle pretty quick, making like an absolute rapid change like that, they've lost weight and put on size in their quads and glutes and lost a bunch of fat. Now, here's another thing too. An additional consideration you can think about is a absolute change in strength. Like when it comes down to, if you're a newbie in your training and then you've put on that muscle and you keep training, like the longer you train, the slower your progression is gonna be. Like you're not gonna make these jumps in strength. It basically, you make a big jump from newbie gains and it slows down, and slows down, and slows down, and slows down. So after you've made some changes and you putting on 50 to 100 pounds onto your whatever, you can kind of like guarantee that person's probably using, let's say 50 pounds in a year. 50 pounds on your lift in a year is pretty insane if you think about it. That means like if I'm bicep curling 10 pounds and all of a sudden in a year, naturally, I can now bicep curl 60 pounds. It's like, no, what? In a year, going from, 10-pound dumbbell curl in one hand to like a 30 or a 40, that's doable. But 50 to 100 is insane. Right? So just things you can kind of consider there. If they're making like big jumps in strength, and remember, a short period of time. But when it comes down to it, guys, we're all speculating. We can't look at somebody like we know guarantee. You have to understand that it's a speculation. But you can have some pretty good educated guesses when it comes to this. But what you can't do is see somebody that looks better than you and all of a sudden say they're on steroids. No. They're just genetically gifted. What I don't like about it, or what I want people to avoid, is judging people on it. Is saying that if you're using steroids, you're bad, you're a cheater, you're a loser, you're whatever. It's their choice. Again, if they're being honest about it, their choice, let them do what the heck they want. Do what you want, whatever. But if you're out there telling people that you can achieve this physique naturally, and you're giving out a false sense of hope to some people, then those things need to be brought to light. And I do agree with that for sure. Because again, when it comes down to it, even my daughter, and having clients that are female, having the conversation with them being like, oh my God, I thought you can do that naturally. And being like, what? No, you can't. And her looking at, and one of my clients looking at a bikini competitor that's a pro. I'm like, no, you can't. But to her, she thought, oh my God, I didn't know. So it is important that people understand that. It's important that people understand that what they can actually achieve naturally and not naturally, right? But at the same time, we have to understand that there are people out there who are genetically gifted freaks, where they're hyper responders to training and they can build muscle fast. Again, if they're building muscle fast within the year, that makes sense. If they're putting on 20 pounds of muscle in a couple months, I ain't no fast responder. That's a fast user. Anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Until next time, you know how it is. Iron sharpens iron. Progressive overload your life. In the meantime, keep dream chasing. Peace.